Friday, June 16. From Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, page 451, we read, "When Protestantism shall stretch her hand across the gulf to grasp the hand of the Roman power, when she shall reach over the abyss to clasp hands with spiritualism, when, under the influence of this threefold union, our country, the United States, shall repudiate every principle of its constitution as a Protestant and Republican government, and shall make provision for the propagation of papal falsehoods and delusions, then we may know that the time has come for the marvellous working of Satan, and that the end is near." And Angel Manuel Rodriguez writes in The Closing of the Cosmic Conflict, Roll of the Three Angels' Messages, an unpublished manuscript, pages 53 and 54, "We have tended to overlook the fact that Sunday is the day of worship of the opposing forces in the storyline of the Book of Revelation. Sunday is the extremely important symbol, revealing the unbelievable craftiness and sophistry of the dragon. This change of God's law expresses in one simple action the very essence of the hatred of the dragon against God in the cosmic conflict. Its simplicity is highly deceptive. The dragon has sought to usurp God's place in the cosmos by depicting himself as the true object of worship and arguing that God's law is unjust, that it should be changed. The dragon changed the law at the juncture within the Decalogue where God is identified as Creator and Redeemer, the only one worthy of worship. And we read about God being the Creator and Redeemer and the only one worthy of worship as we read Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11 again. "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labour and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." And then in Revelation chapter 5, verse 6, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me." And then he recreates the Sabbath commandment. "Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labour and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day." And then we read in Revelation 4, verse 11, "You are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honour and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created." And Revelation 5, verse 9, "And they sang a new song, saying, You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain, and have redeemed us to God by your blood, out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation, and have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth." And then verses 13 and 14, "And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea and all that are in them, I heard saying, Blessing and honour and glory and power be to him who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb for ever and ever." Then the 4 living creatures said, "Amen," and the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him who lives for ever and ever. The change of the law manifests not only the dragon's hatred for the will of the Lord, the law, but it is also his attempt to usurp God's place by becoming the object of worship. The universalization of this change in the law would assure him victory." End of quote. And that brings us to our two discussion questions for this week. One, though living in anticipation, even expectation of final events, why must we be careful about not getting into fanaticism, date-setting, or speculating beyond what has been revealed to us through inspiration? What are the dangers of doing this? And what have been the results when the expected events have not unfolded when and how people have said they would happen? And two, while we must avoid the dangers depicted in the previous discussion question, how do we respond to those who say that our scenario about the mark of the beast and persecution cannot happen because it just doesn't seem possible given the current state of the world? Why is this line of reasoning, though on the surface seemingly sensible, really not sensible at all? After all, look at how quickly great changes can come to the world. And here's Sibylla with Inside Story. Thank you, Sibylla.
School Saves by Andrew McChesney. A luxury car pulled up at the Seventh-day Adventist Elementary School on the first day of classes in Ukraine. Two children carrying bouquets of flowers emerged from the car, together with their parents. Ukraine children often present teachers with flowers on the first day of school. "We want our children to study at your school," the father told the school principal. "I'm afraid that's impossible," the principal replied. "We don't have room." The father persisted. "We will buy new desks and chairs for all the students and pay double the tuition," he said. "Please let our children study." The principal wondered whether the father's expectations might be too high. "You know that we don't have government accreditation to hold final exams," she said. "Your kids would have to take them at the public school." "That's no problem," the mother said. "We'll help you get accreditation." "You know, this is a Seventh-day Adventist school," the principal said. Adventists are dismissed as a sect by many people in the former Soviet Union. But the father knew it was an Adventist school and he was not deterred. "Yes, and we want our children to study here," he said. The mother explained that the family had vacationed at the Black Sea a few weeks earlier, and the children had made new friends from the school. Every evening, the children had excitedly told their parents about the school and pleaded to go. Then the mother handed her business card to the principal. She was a city judge. Her husband was a high-ranking military officer. The children entered the second and third grade at the school, and they immediately loved it. But as the weeks passed, they began begging their parents to read Uncle Arthur's bedtime stories to them, just as their classmates' parents were reading to them. The mother told the children to ask the teacher to sell the books to them. "Then I will read to you every night," she said. The children bought the books and she read to them every night. The months had passed and the children asked to go to Sabbath school and church. The parents took them every Sabbath. The next summer, a year after the family first heard about Adventists while on their Black Sea vacation, both the mother and father were baptized. "Adventist education is closely connected with the mission of the Church," said Ivan Ripolov, Education Director of the Euro-Asian Division, whose territory includes Ukraine. "You cannot separate Adventist education and Adventist mission. Wherever schools open, the Church grows. Thank you for your mission offerings that support Seventh-day Adventist education worldwide."
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.